Hello and welcome to the Cavern of Terror.
The Covenant stars that guy from 10,000 BC, the Winter Soldier, Gambit from X-Men Origins Wolverine, and is directed by the guy that did probably the least most memorable Nightmare on Elm Street sequel. I'm kidding, here we go. The Covenant stars Stephen Strait, Sebastian Stan, Taylor Kitsch, Chase Crawford, Toby Hemingway, Jessica Lucas, Laura Ramsey, and is directed by Rennie Harlan. Before we get into the meat of this review, I just want to let you guys know that this isn't the first time that I've tackled this film. Yeah, I reviewed this one a long time ago on my original YouTube channel, but because you guys are awesome and I love my subscribers, I'm going to show you a clip of that review. Keep in mind though, it's a bit cringeworthy. My guilty pleasure for this week is 2006 action horror thriller The Covenant comes to us from Screen Gems and director Rennie Harlan. Now, those of you who are familiar with the action genre would know that Rennie Harlan directed Die Hard 2, Die Harder, Cliffhanger, A Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson, and Deep Blue Sea with my favorite LL Cool J. Is it over? Can I look now? Yeah, so there's that. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, that's probably scarier than anything you're gonna see in The Covenant. Anyway, on to business. Our supernatural tale starts with... Haha, gotcha that time. I'm getting quicker.
Oh, you're somebody's bitch.
Damn it! Anyway, The Covenant starts with text, telling us the story of witches. Male witches. The Sons of Ipswich, which kind of sounds like a demonic boy band. This movie centers around their family's past and their future. 5 families were attacked. 4 of those families survived. The 5th wasn't so lucky. Or so they thought. All this is going down while we're rocking out to a remix of Astro Creep. Bless you, Rob Zombie. This film's hard for me to review because it's not bad, but it's not good either. You guys know what I mean, right? You know what I mean. The Covenant is that special kind of bad. This film is a perfect example of early 2000s overly polished guilty pleasure cheese. You guys want to know what you're getting into? Stephen Strait is one of the best actors in this movie. Yeah, I'd tell you the plot, but I don't really think I have to. Because, see, nothing really happens in this movie until around the 3rd act. As much as I love this movie for its cheesiness and nostalgia of the early 2000s, I don't really feel like this should have been a film. I actually feel like this story would have been better off told on a television series. Because all you get is a ton of exposition and build-up. There's season 1 right there. Check this out. That's better. The Covenant is the perfect CW series. Throw it right in there between Vampire Diaries and Supernatural, and you're good. Wait a minute, isn't Vampire Diaries over? Anyway, you get the point. So, where do we start first? How about the dialogue? Yeah, it's fucking atrocious. Well, you're late. Don't you understand I'm the bad guy? I'm evil. You guys want to see Bucky Barnes recite nursery rhymes? You're gonna see that in The Covenant.
Spider came and sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away.
Who wrote this? J.S. Cardone. Didn't he write the Prom Night remake? Ugh!
Harry Potter can kiss my
Yeah, guys, that just happened. And it was amazing. Moving on to a more serious note, I couldn't help but dig the score and the soundtrack. As I said before, we get the Hellbilly himself with Rob Zombie. But we also get a metal-infused score, which really helps amp up those fight scenes. Speaking of fight scenes, the choreography and action sequences are pretty damn good. Especially the opening car chase. Sometimes I think people forget that Rennie Harlan was the director behind Die Hard 2, Cliffhanger, and Deep Blue Sea. Wonder why? Oh, yeah. Yeah, guys, I know I said that this film was over-polished, but I have to hand it to Pierre Gil in his cinematography. The lighting in this movie is impeccable, and that's saying something, because this is a really dark time. There's maybe 2 or 3 scenes in the daylight in this whole movie. Is it me, or does Reed look like Dante from Devil May Cry? Or Nick Carter? So there's a thing that happens in this movie when any of these boys turn 18, they ascend. Apparently after that, they become waterbenders. I was gonna tell you about the worthy scenes, but they're not really here for me. Ladies, there's abs and man-ass all over this movie. Enjoy yourselves. Sad to say, all the worthy moments for us dudes were edited out with CGI mist to keep this movie PG-13. I can't, man. I can't do it anymore. There's also a love story here, because why not? Can't have a bunch of shirtless dudes without a love story. That came out wrong. There's no coming back from that. Hi, I'm Zach. I'm terrified of spiders. It all started with Resident Evil. You know, the game messed me up for life. Fuck spiders. So as you guys know, I couldn't do a movie like The Covenant alone. I needed some demented help for this one. Gory B Movie from the Horror Addicts has graciously decided to join me. So before we get to my rating, here's her take on The Covenant. Take it away, Gory.
Hey, I'm Gory B Movie, and I'm a horror addict, and Zach has invited me here today to share my thoughts on The Covenant. I'm sure he's already filled you in on the plot, so let's just jump right into the good, the bad, and the gory. The Covenant is The Craft meets The Lost Boys for the MTV generation. It's a slick-looking movie with a killer soundtrack and a lot of pretty people in it, especially Stephen Strait as Caleb. The locations are also very pleasing to the eyeballs. It's filmed in Canada, but it is set in Ipswich, Massachusetts, which is another thing I kind of like about this movie. I was born in Ipswich, England, so it was cool to hear my hometown's name mentioned in this movie, even if it's not exactly the same city. I also think it's pretty cool that they went with a male coven. We don't see a lot of male witches in movies, and when we do, they tend to call them warlocks or wizards. I think the only time anyone calls himself a wizard in real life is in D&D, and warlock means liar, so it's not something that any self-respecting witch would call themselves. I probably should mention that I'm a practicing Wiccan, so that colors my opinions on witch movies quite a bit. I also like that we see witches as complicated people in this movie. If there's one thing that drives me crazy, it's when witches are painted as fairy tale villains in movies. In this movie, we see that these are normal guys. They go to school, they have friends, they date. For the most part, they're pretty cool. One of them's kind of a dick. There's always one, isn't there? I gotta say, the worst thing about The Covenant is that the CGI in this movie is not aging well at all. I remember seeing this when it came out in 2006 and it wasn't too bad then, but now by today's standards, it looks cheesy as all hell. There's also way too much of it. So many of the effects in this movie would have looked a lot better had they been done practically. Like the eye effect when they used their magic. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but had they used real spiders for that scene, dear God, that would have been terrifying. The other thing that kills me about this movie is the dialogue.
Come to save little Miss Muffet.
Chase's dialogue in particular is groan-worthy.
Ooh, witchy.
And everyone else's is largely expositional.
These powers that you and your friends developed when you were 13.
The plot is pretty simple, but the director doesn't trust the audience to figure it out, so he has his characters over-explain everything in dialogue. Most of it comes out sounding very forced and unnatural. And I don't blame the cast for this at all. The writing in this movie is just bad. For instance, there's a pretty big twist in the third act that I didn't even realize was supposed to be a twist until I saw the characters' reactions. The twist involves who the antagonist of the movie is, this person who is abusing magic. I don't know why the characters take so long to figure this one out, because I figured it out about 10 minutes into the movie. There are also quite a few pacing problems. It opens with a car chase, rock music, and shenanigans, but it slows down exponentially before the climax. There are also a number of times when they go for suspense and it just doesn't work. Like in the scene when Laura thinks somebody is watching her in the shower. She wraps up in a towel and she's wandering around the dormitory hallways, and I think we're supposed to be afraid that something's gonna jump out at her, but I just wasn't feeling it. There are also a number of plot inconsistencies. For instance, there's only one person who dies in this entire movie. Apparently that person needed to be killed because they witnessed somebody practicing magic. However, at the start of the film, the sons of Ipswich drive off a cliff when they're being chased by cops and then have the car reappear behind the squad car. We're also told throughout the film that the power that these boys have is dangerous, that it's seductive, and they shouldn't just use it for anything. And yet Caleb, who doesn't seem like he's hurting for money, uses it to fix his car's windshield in front of everybody. I also wasn't very impressed with their spells, which aren't very spell-like. They're more like the Force in Star Wars in that they're purely intent-based. All the guys have to do is think about what they want and then it happens. And for that reason, to me, their power seemed more demonic than witch-like. Which I guess kind of makes sense since Chase is part incubus, but that doesn't do much to explain the other guys. So this horror movie has one off-screen death in it. 1. And 0 blood. I'm not even talking blood light. This is more like diet blood, blood 0, blood free. And that's not a good thing. There's not a single drop of blood in this horror movie. What the fuck, movie? Now the Covenant tries to make up for it with eye candy, and they do a pretty good job. We do get to see lots of shirtless guys, and these guys are ripped. Abs for everybody. And they do lots of sexy dude stuff like swimming and showering. And of course, this being a fairly neutered movie, you're not gonna see any dong droppage, but there are lots of low-hanging pants and butts to go around. And if girls are more your thing, the ladies in this movie are pretty hot too. There are ladies in bathing suits, ladies hanging out in their underwear, taking showers, running around in bath towels, and one scene where the guys use their powers to blow up a girl's skirt and you can see her booty. I should also mention that this movie is not even remotely scary. There are a few cringeworthy moments. There's a guy puking at the beginning, and there are spiders. Now, spiders give me the creeps, so I'd be lying if I said I didn't cringe a little bit. But the spiders are clearly CGI and they don't look real. There are also a couple of rats in the movie, but they're just kind of cute, and I'm not even a rat person. Maybe it's their furry little rat butts. I don't know. They just look adorable. So, should you see it? I honestly feel that you could skip this movie and your life will be no worse for it. Like I said, this movie isn't aging well at all. That said, if you're looking for a fun popcorn flick that's pretty and won't work your brain cells too hard, then check out The Covenant. To give this a Zack rating, I'm gonna have to give it a meh. Borrow it from a friend, stream it if it's available, but don't spend any money on it. Well, that's it for me, guys. Zack, thank you so much for having me on your show, and keep fighting the good fight against that Blu-ray Mountain, dude. We're rooting for you. And if you want to join me and the rest of the Horror Addicts family for more horror talk, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also check out our reviews on all things horror, join us for live discussions, let's plays, sketches, and more on Horror Addicts, where horror is family.
So you heard from me and you heard from Gory. She gave it a meh. Maybe borrow it from a friend. So what do I give it? I can't by any stretch of the imagination give this movie a metal claw. But on the same note, I can't give this movie a head down. It doesn't deserve that either. I love to hate this movie because it doesn't live up to its potential. If this movie isn't right for a reboot, I don't know what is. CW series. Excuse me. Is it fun? Yes. Can you rip on it with some friends and some beers? Definitely. This film sits somewhere in between a meh and a for me. It's early 2000s cheese. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Alright guys, that has been my review of The Covenant. What did you think? Let me know down in the comments down below. Big thanks goes out to Gory B Movie from the Horror Addicts for helping me out here. Couldn't have done it without you. All their links are in the description box down below. These guys are awesome. They cover pretty much everything. They're a demented family and their channel is awesome. Head over there and check those guys out. But with that said, what are some of your horror movie guilty pleasures? Let me know down in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a like. This was a really fun collab to do. If you want to see more content from me in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell button so you get notified about all my videos. Before I get out of here, I wanted to give you guys an update on my Scream series. There's gonna be some cameos in these reviews. I'm going all out for these. This guy just came in the mail yesterday. Can't wait to actually get those reviews started, and I hope you guys are here to see them. As always, guys, I would really appreciate it if you check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LetterBoxd. With that said, I'm Zach. This has been the Blu-ray Mountain. Stay metal, my friends. What shitty movie can I do next?